Ladies and gentlemen!
Welcome once again to the TangentCast, where I am much better rested than last week.
Yeah, you don't sound dead, which is
Yes,
nice.
which is always an improvement to things. I mean, Comic-Con was great fun, as always. But, you know, I spent like a week just recovering from the lack of sleep and everything else, so...
And you didn't get the con flu, which is
No,
always nice.
no, that's always nice when you don't get some sort of horrible disease from being around like 100,000 people.
Yeah.
So how have you been?
Not suffering from horrible diseases?
That's good. How
Yeah.
else?
Oh, pretty well. Just, really busy as usual,
Yeah, I
to
mean,
be honest.
that's not really
No,
unusual for
not
us.
really,
to be
no.
honest. I've been good. I've been enjoying my week off from my day job, which has always been good. So I've been playing
Everything?
all the things.
By everything, you mean Dark Souls?
No, not actually. The thing that I've been playing too much is actually just Overwatch.
Really?
So much Overwatch.
You enjoying it?
Yeah, like, surprisingly. I mean, as I said before, the fastest way usually to get me to fall asleep would be to say, multiplayer only, first person shooter. I would literally just be like, usually. But for some reason, Overwatch is just so fun, and I don't know why it's different from all the others.
I don't really either.
I mean, obviously it's very different from a usual first person shooter in that you've got a huge variety of heroes to play as, and they all have their own unique abilities and ultimates and play styles and that sort of thing. But I don't think it's just that. It's just the whole thing is just really, really fun. And I actually enjoy playing as a healer and a tank. So, there you go. Been playing a lot of Overwatch. Have played some Dark Souls. What are you doing?
I'm giving you a special snowflake badge.
Thank you. That's appreciated. I don't really want it, but...
It's okay. You've earned it for being a healer.
Oh, thank you. I play Zenyatta a lot, which seems to be good. But I have played some Dark Souls. I finished it again. As I said, I've played as a sort of miracle healer thing, and just respec into Sword and Board.
Oh, cool.
What about you? Have you been playing much?
No.
No?
No, haven't had time.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've just been too busy because of all the Polaris stuff, the Zen stuff. I've been really throwing my time into reading up on a lot of bits and pieces. So a tiny bit of Uncharted, which I need to upload onto the channel, and that's about it.
Alright, cool. So shall we move swiftly on to the topic list then?
I moved my hand like it was a plane, like taking off. That was supposed to signify us going swiftly.
Yes, but the viewers couldn't see that in all its glory.
That's why I verbalised the takeoff.
Shall we do topics then?
Yes, we shall go to the Zen and Polaris.
Okay, I'll take it away.
So Computex was a thing.
It was.
And being a thing, it was actually a really good thing.
Cool.
So I went into it like I go into a lot of dates, with excitement but also prepared for disappointment. It was actually a good date.
Computex was a good date.
It was.
Okay.
Because it was like airing at ridiculous o'clock in the morning. I was like, fuck that, I'll look at it in the morning. There's no way.
That's pretty much my feelings about Bethesda's E3 conference this year.
Well, if I was watching it by myself, I ironically probably would have watched it. But because then I know I'd been covering on the channel, I probably would have been up to 6 a.m, 7 a.m.
Yeah,
and I thought, bollocks, no, I'll just be dead. So
no, that's too much.
I decided against it and I'll just cover it the next day. But anywho, Polaris was announced and R9 480 became a thing. And it's looking really good for $200. Supposedly the performance is going to be around the 917 to 980.
Which is pretty damn good for $200.
And
I mean,
two of them.
If you're looking for cheap, high-end gaming, that seems like a pretty solid option.
And Zen is... Lisa Sue is quite funny because she didn't say what the performance was.
Okay.
But she said that they'd shipped it to their partners. Some of their partners, obviously, that would be the Dells and, the Aces of the world and some of the server companies, and they were getting engineering samples as they were bringing it up, which is basically as they're just testing out the chip and figuring out what the clocks are and stuff.
Okay.
And she just smiled wryly at the camera and just said that it was going well. And that was all basically all that she said.
Lisa Sue has got one hell of a poker face, I've
Yeah.
got to say.
Yeah, she just said that basically we're very pleased with it. And there was a bit of controversy surrounding Polaris.
Really?
Yeah, so basically the 1080 was running Ash of the Singularity with two 480s as a benchmark system. So basically, Nvidia, their hardware looked different to AMD. So people were like, why do the two games look different? Is there something wrong with Polaris? Like, is it not demoing at the correct graphical settings?
Right.
And I had noticed there was something a bit hinky myself, but because Ash of the Singularity is very... so I'm not familiar enough with the benchmark, I did know some of it was randomized. I was going to do my own research to figure out whether there really was something wrong with the settings. So I didn't want to mention something and then not be right about it, basically.
Okay.
But anyway, the internet grabbed hold of it before I had time to do my research. And suffice to say, there was something wrong.
Right.
So AMD, in a nutshell, had said that Ashes on the Polaris, the 480, ran faster in SLI, or Crossfire rather, than the 1080. That would be 2 cards versus 1. And eventually Robert Hallock decided to take to Reddit and explain the situation.
Right.
And everyone had been basically, lols, AMD like fucked up. Turns out there was a shader bug with the GTX 1080 with that specific game, and basically it was rendering the scenery incorrectly on the 1080.
Right.
So, basically it just turns out that the developers didn't have, of Ash of the Singularity, who I've forgotten the name of, Oxide, they didn't have access to a 1080, and so the game engine didn't render correctly, and although the GTX 1080 was doing the same amount of work, it had graphical errors with the snow. So basically, although AMD's benchmarks were valid, they'd found a rendering bug on Nvidia's hardware, and it basically it caused a lot of hand slapping across the internet, like with fans of both companies. And I just thought it's quite laughable because it's like I took the neutral point of view. I don't think it was AMD deliberately was like, oh, Ash of the Singularity fucks up on Nvidia's hardware, so let's show that. Because let's face it, it was more just a case of it was random.
Yeah.
Ash of the Singularity also benefits more on AMD's hardware anyway, so they were of course going to use that as a benchmark.
Yeah.
The developers didn't have access to a GTX 1080, and
so it was basically just a perfect storm of events.
And I don't blame Nvidia either, because if you're releasing graphics card drivers, good fucking luck trying to make sure that it works on every single game out there perfectly with every single setting. No. So it was no
that
one's...
is one of the drawbacks of PC gaming, that sometimes that can happen.
Yeah, so it was no one's fault. It just happened to be, and obviously people picked up on it, and that's why I think sometimes people make much ado about nothing. Like sometimes there's...
Well, sometimes there's not some big conspiracy. Sometimes people just fuck up because they are, at the end of the day, just humans.
Yeah, and apparently this wasn't even a screw up. It literally just was. It was what it was.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so that was a whole thing that happened.
Yeah.
So
I guess we might as well go to the GTX 1070 because they're basically sort of related.
Yeah, they're tangentially related.
Yeah, so basically the GTX 1070 slaps the 980 Ti.
Yes.
And it actually keeps up with the really high-end cards of the previous generation. So it's basically faster than the Titan.
Nice.
And it overclocks like hell, supposedly.
So it's a pretty nice option then.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have to wait for it to be in the hands of customers, really, to get like real understanding of how the cards...
obviously real world testing. And
stuff. Which is the same, by the way, for the 480. Although I obviously do put stock into a company to a degree, because they're not going to outright lie. It's always about what does it really do in your rig. But the GTX 1070, to be honest, all of the new cards are looking to be really awesome. But that was about it.
Alright, okay. So, I guess we can go on to the Nintendo NX. Now, obviously, we all know that it's not coming out until March of next year. But what's interesting is that according to a report, the mass production of the NX has been delayed until next year. Now, basically, what was supposed to be happening, according to the report, obviously it could be wrong, all that jazz, is that it was supposed to be in production, basically, sort of fall of 2016. Which makes sense if you want to have it out ready for 2017 March, right? That's plenty of time, all that sort of stuff, to mass produce millions of consoles.
So they can sell 10%. Good plan.
Yes.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did. But according to this rumour, that mass production has now been delayed till 2017. So that obviously leads to the question, does that potentially mean that the NX could be delayed?
Did you know?
I mean, if it's true, then maybe.
You know, there were some rumours. I never really read up much more about the initial thing to know whether they were true or not.
Uh-huh.
But you remember the original Wii?
Yes.
Do you remember it was really hard to get hold of for about 6 months to a year after
Yeah,
launch?
because they were literally just flying off the shelves.
Well, also because they weren't producing enough.
Yeah.
And the rumours were, and I don't know how true these are, so I feel free to Google it, people.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the rumours were that Nintendo were artificially holding back the number of shipments because it made the console look like it was in higher demand.
Well, I would not put it past Nintendo for that rumour to be true, because it's exactly what they're doing with Amiibo. They're deliberately not making as many as they should.
Nintendo were saying that no, it was a part shortage, and I think they were citing the CPU or the GPU, but people also called the bullshit on that because it is essentially an overclocked GameCube. So whether that turned out to be true or not, I don't know, but now I'm really curious. I'll Google it later.
As I just said, I would not put it past them, because that's pretty much what they're doing with Amiibo. They are deliberately underproducing them so that they're gone within 10 seconds. I could fucking like getting the popular Amiibo, basically. And when they're doing things like locking content behind Amiibo, that's when I start to take issue.
It's kind of weak source.
Yeah, I mean, which game was it? Twilight Princess HD? They locked an extra dungeon or something behind
That's pretty weak.
an Amiibo, and I'm just like, really? Okay then. I mean, I wasn't going to buy the game anyway, so don't skin off my nose, but it's more the principle of, like, you're going to lock content behind this plastic fucking thing that is really hard to get hold of.
If EA did that, they would get so much flack.
It just annoys me how much of a free pass Nintendo gets sometimes, but that's a different topic entirely.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, back onto the NX for a sec. I mean, if this...
Do we have to?
Yes. If this is true, then it's potentially going to lead to a delay of the release. Or, if the release still happens in March, we're going to have a repeat of that situation with the Wii, where there's not enough to meet demand. So, obviously, we don't know if it's true or not, so we're going to have to wait and see. Given that we don't even know what the thing is, it's really hard to speculate.
True. I guess we might as well talk about the Xbox Scorpio, talking about things that are going to be probably released in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So, the rumours are with the Scorpio, as I think you know, it's going to be around a third more powerful than the PS4 Neo.
Yeah.
It's going to have VR support.
Yeah.
And it's looking to be a very interesting proposition because from what the rumours are, Microsoft are going to be positioning it to be a low-end PC.
Right.
With full VR support.
Okay.
There are going to be no Xbox... Well, not barely any, let's go with that. Like, Sea of Thieves and other games are going to be coming to PC. Scalebound, supposedly, now is going to be coming to PC. Mm-hmm. And so basically, the PC and the Scorpio are going to be almost one in the same.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting because some folks are saying that the two having lots of different systems is going to be very difficult to develop for, and others are saying it's not, because essentially it just means that it's almost PC-like in architecture. You have different graphical settings, so it'll basically boot up a separate config depending on the system that's running.
Well, if they just did what I've been asking for years now, and just had an option to turn down the resolution or whatever, so you can get more frame rate, then it would be fine.
Well, no, it'd have to do a lot more than that because the two systems
yeah,
are so separate.
It wouldn't be that simple, but something like that, like you have on, PCs.
Well, it would be automatic.
Would be good.
It would be automatic, but it's quite interesting, like regarding the performance difference between the systems. I'm very curious to see what happens, and the announcement for at least the Slimline is supposedly going to be happening at E3.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to announce the Scorpio E3 or not.
No, I think it's going to be next year, but I do think they're going to announce the Slimline.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they're doing a Slimline Xbox One, there's absolutely no reason for them not to release it Christmas time and have it revealed.
Well, I mean, we saw the price reduction of $50, right?
Yeah, I believe that was temporary though, as far as they said. But they've done this before, where they've said it's temporary. They do a temporary run, and then a few months later it becomes permanent. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the Xbox Scorpio sounds quite interesting.
I guess technically the price reduction of the other $50 was temporary because now they're reducing it again. So I guess really the previous reduction is temporary.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the Scorpio sounds really interesting, as does the Neo. So I'm curious to see what happens with either of them.
I'm very curious to see how many tiers.
I just want to know how well they're realistically gonna do, because it seems like they're going for a smartphone style release thing, where like every couple of years you get a new one.
That's basically what's saying, iterative hardware.
But as I've mentioned before, the difference is on a phone you can get a contract where you don't have to pay for the thing up front, where I can just pay 25 quid a month or whatever, and I will get a pretty high end phone that's probably worth like what, 300, 400, if you know, going up to the 600 range if you're getting a top end iPhone, which I don't because I'm Android, but just say you do. That's the kind of money you would be paying if you didn't have the contract option, and they aren't going to do that probably with the console. I mean, they might do, they might not, but that's why the smartphone model works, in my opinion.
I think though that you've got to remember you don't have to keep upgrading, so it's
no, but people want the newest hardware, they want the newest games, and if you're going to have games that are exclusive to the one or the other, then people are going to want it. And yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, let's move on to something that I'm just going to call RAP education, because EA, apparently, one of the reasons they initially didn't give Battlefield 1 the green light was because they were worried that younger consumers wouldn't know what World War 1 was.
Define didn't know what it was.
Well, that's pretty much what they said. Was it Blake Jorgensen, I think? Yeah, someone high up in EA was like, yeah, we were worried that younger consumers wouldn't know World War 1. So, does that mean they wouldn't know enough about it to care? Or they literally would be like, World War 1, what's that?
Probably a little of column A, a little of column B.
Either way, I would still say RIP education. Because so I'm not saying you should need to be an expert on World War 1 to know, like, oh, on this day the Battle of Blippity Blue happened and so died or whatever.
I think that shows that Amy is indeed an expert on World War 1.
Yeah, it does. I'm not saying you have to know that stuff, but you should at least know the basics of World War 1 as a thing that happens in history class.
Pew, pew, pew. Other people were like, pew, 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 and people were like, ah, and stuff like that.
Yeah, Paul, the history teacher over here.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they're genuinely worried that younger people wouldn't know what World War 1 is, I am genuinely worried about the state of education. Obviously, they grew past that worry and greenlit it, but the fact that we're even concerned about it just makes me go, oh,
hey, look at it this way. In 100...
Oh, God.
Hey, look at it this way. In 100 years, people think it was fiction.
Yeah, it's true. It's just sad. So yeah, that was a thing that happened that made me just go, oh dear.
Well, if you don't feel oh dear at least twice a day, you're doing pretty well nowadays.
Yeah, true. So what else have we got today?
Rumours of
Yes.
Suicide Squad and SpiderMan.
Interesting rumours from Camp Warner Brothers. Now, this is from some article that was in French, and it hasn't been confirmed or denied. So as always, you know, salt is required. But basically, the rumour says...
On the internet, salt is always required.
Yes. The rumour basically says that Warner Brothers are apparently working on a Suicide Squad game.
Right.
That's literally the rumour, that they're working on it. But it would actually kind of make sense, given how
Russian roulette?
insane the hype is around that film. I mean, I have Harley Quinn Suicide Squad cosplays I saw at London Comic Con.
I was going to say, I was pretty convinced like 1 in 10 women were going to dress up as that.
But only her, no one else. I saw like maybe 1 or 2 new Jokers, but mostly just fucking Harley Quinns
Yeah,
everywhere.
apparently they're thinking she's so popular at the moment, and I can't remember the actress's name, but
Margot Robbie, I think her name is.
It doesn't matter what her name is anyway.
Doesn't matter what her name is.
My point being that they're even considering already putting out a
they're considering doing a standalone film, and to be fair, she pitched it to them, apparently. and that could be cool because it's not just going to be about Harley. It's going to be about like Poison Ivy and Batgirl and all these other female like heroes and villains and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm down for that. I'm so down for that. But the game could be really cool and would make sense.
Couldn't be worse than Ghostbusters.
Let's not go down that road. But there are other rumours attached to this rumour that are also interesting. The other ones are that there's a SpiderMan game.
Spiderman.
And the reason this is interesting is because there was already a rumour before that Sucker Punch, obviously the guys who do Infamous, are working on a Spider-Man game. Now, if this is the Spider-Man game they're talking about here,
Rip Uncle Ben. How many times can Uncle Ben die?
Fucking 20 gajillion. But I would actually play the hell out of a Sucker Punch Spider-Man open world
Hey,
game.
you know if Spider-Man got married, you know what you throw at his wedding? Uncle Ben's right.
Oh god, the memes, the dank memes. Too dank to handle.
I don't know what that term means.
It made me sad.
Good!
So, yeah, I don't know about you, but I would play a Sucker Punch Spider-Man game. And perhaps, because they always have to have the sort of evil versus good thing in their games, perhaps if you go down the evil route, you're actually Venom or something.
Yeah, you basically, well, it could be the Black Symbiont.
Yeah. So that would be really, really cool. And apparently, also there's a new Batman game, because they like money, but it's not going to be about Batman. No. It's going to be about his son, apparently. And you're going to have not the Batmobile, but the Bat-Cycle instead. And I'm like, can we just not with any more Batman games? Can we just not? Because Arkham Knight was okay. It was alright. It wasn't a bad game. But compared to how amazing Arkham Asylum was, I just feel like, can we not? Just give it a rest. I don't know about you. I don't know if it's just me. They can't hear you staring at me. Just saying.
Oh, God. No, don't move away from Batman. No one cares. Or at least I don't give a crap about his son. I don't care about the Bat-Cycle. I just want Batman. It's like, they've not even done enough of the bloody villains and stuff yet.
Well, I just think Batman should just go away for a while.
No.
To be honest.
No.
Game-wise.
No.
Why?
Because it's so good.
so many. And they're just...
But all of them were good apart from probably Origins.
I'm not saying they were bad games because that's just not
To be
true.
honest, I recently played through Arkham Knight on PC, fully patched of course.
Yes.
And damn, it was so good. I got pretty much engrossed on that.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't play an awful lot of it because I just do not have the time for open world games, to be honest. But
Oh, how's it come with Dark Souls? She's completed twice.
That's not an open world game.
Okay, how many hours did that say? How many hours was that?
Oh god, I'm trying to remember now.
That's
67.
okay.
hours?
How many hours did I put into Batman? About 30. Now, I'm not the best at maths. Feel free to help me here, viewers. But I think...
To be fair.
No. Now, I think... I'm not sure about this, viewers, right? I'm not a mathematical whiz, but I think 30 is less than 67. Maybe not many less than 67.
Yeah, but that's not fair because normally when I finish a game, that's it.
Right.
I'll uninstall it.
And so how
I'll
many?
be done. Listen, let me finish.
Right.
Normally, when I finish a game,
Right.
I'll uninstall it and I'll be like, cool,
Okay.
another game scratched off the list.
Okay.
But for some reason, I just can't get enough of Dark Souls 3.
Okay. So what you're telling me, right? How many hours on the first playthrough?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't remember. A lot.
40?
50.
So what you're telling
I can't remember. Something.
So you're telling me you don't have time for open world games,
No.
right?
No, I don't.
You haven't played like Assassin's Creed yet, Black Flag, which you got really far through. You haven't played Batman. You haven't played all these games. Yet you're playing.
I'm like a crow. Okay, I get distracted by shiny things. To be fair, normally I wouldn't put so many hours into one game, but as I said, there's just something about Dark Souls 3 that I just can't stop.
How many hours have you played for Overwatch?
I don't know. It doesn't. But Battle.net doesn't have an hours counter. I don't know.
Yeah. My point being that if you'd have been like putting all this time into story-driven games or other games, you probably would have completed like half your library by now.
Don't hit me with logic, good sir. That has no place here. But as I was saying before we went off on a massive tangent just now.
No, not a tangent. Me just correcting you because
whatever.
you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You're wrong.
I can't be wrong about things like this.
You can.
No, I can't.
Viewers, is she wrong?
No.
Yes,
I'm not.
I think she is.
I'm trying to get back to the point. Can we please just get back to the point?
We can.
So ordinarily, I don't have time for open world games.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
Batman Arkham Knight seemed good, but just nothing new. Like they've done this before.
It was.
And the Batmobile, fuck the Batmobile.
I actually really
driving
liked
sections were the worst.
I actually really liked it.
Oh, just fuck off.
I actually didn't like it at the start, but towards the end, I quite got into it.
I mean, here's the weird thing. Like in the lead up to the game, I was like, cool, we finally get to actually drive the Batmobile around. It's going to be awesome. And then it finally came out, and I was just like...
To be honest, I actually think that it had some of the best moments in the Arkham series. I won't say what they were because I don't want to give massive spoilers, but towards the end, when something happens to the city, which I won't go any further than that, and you see what's happening, and like you're on... and the event first happens. Yes. I don't want to give spoilers, and then you see the effect of what's happening. Mm-hmm. I honestly think it's one of the best moments in an Arkham game for me.
Fair enough.
I took so many photos.
Fair enough. Well, obviously I'm not going to lie. There is still an audience for Batman. I'm not going to lie and say there isn't. I just made me think we should let Batman rest a little bit.
He doesn't rest. He's Batman.
After the fucking disaster area that was the release of Arkham Knight, maybe people need a bit of a break. Is what I'm saying.
No.
But the other two, I would play, especially Spider-Man.
Spider-Man
would be awesome. So, I mean, we've got a little bit of extra time. Do we want to throw in an extra topic here while we're here?
I wouldn't think of much.
Fable isn't completely dead. There's a card game.
I think that's about it for this video.
Yeah, I don't think that's the game people really wanted the X-Line head guys to make.
Good news. Metal Gear Solid Pachinko's coming.
Hit the lever! Can we all say it together, please? Hashtag fuck Konami, because just no.
Can we just say...
Hit the lever. Oh, this is what Konami has become.
Sadness.
It's so sad.
Yeah, but they're making loads of money.
I don't care.
They do.
I'm sure they care. But the sad thing is, back in the day, Konami made some of my favourite games ever. Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 1, and also the Metal Gears and all that. You know, I haven't really played them, but people love them. Cool. And now, Pachinko. And I'm just like, how does a company go from fucking Silent Hill 2 to Pachinko?
You want me to tell you the fun thing? Imagine being one of their PR representatives.
Do they even have a PR guy? I don't think they do. I don't think they do. Because I think a PR guy would have thrown himself off the roof of Konami headquarters.
Well, they did.
By now.
Yeah.
You know, they clearly don't have a PR guy. Because a PR guy would be like, guys, can you not literally set fire to your reputation as a game company?
Yeah,
no?
Sure.
You want to douse it in napalm and then set fire to it? Cool. Okay. See you later.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think on that note, we should end this video before we just go on a massive tirade about Konami.
And people in general.
Yes. Alright, well, as always, thank you very much for listening. Do remember to hit us up with any questions you might have on the usual places, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bye.
Pretty much.